Hello Libra, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your recent past, current energy, and immediate future, answering the question, what do you need to know right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Libra. Let's jump on in and see what we have got here. We're going to start with overall energy through oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with tarot as we progress. So let's start with looking at what you guys have been dealing with. So overall energy for your recent past. Meditate and contemplate a fiery climax approaches. I feel like this feels like an energy of indecision about something, but this indecision is buried pretty deep. What I mean by that is sometimes we don't realize that we're avoiding a decision, and sometimes we avoid that decision because we're afraid of the changes that we have to make. If we make this decision, we enter into the unknown, right? A lot of times we stay in spaces and places and relationships where we're not valued or we're not happy or we're not fulfilled, and we don't do this necessarily intentionally, but we do this because we think it's the only way. But what happens when we do this is the universe will put certain things in your path that bring to the surface like this realization that things need to change. So say that you're at this job, and this is not necessarily what's happening, but this is like the energy that I'm gathering. It's like you're at this job where you're being incredibly undervalued, you're not getting compensated appropriately, maybe even being disrespected. It's like the universe will put you in situations where you feel so pissed off and you're just so triggered, and almost to the extent where you're like, I can't do this anymore, so that you push yourself to make certain changes that maybe you've been avoiding. And a lot of times it can feel like failure, it can feel like giving up, but what it is it's actually the realization of, this does not align with my soul and this is not where I want to be, therefore something needs to change. Now in this past energy, I feel like that's what happened. I feel like you were just experiencing things to push you into change, but maybe it was coming from a place of believing that things weren't working. Like maybe it felt like things weren't working out. But I feel like the universe is trying to shift you into better, bigger, and better things. Current energy for Libra, because our soul will not let us settle where we are not meant to settle, meaning that we will never find peace in the places that aren't meant for us. But let's see, let's look further. Current energy for Libra. You and your loved ones are safe. There's a lot of anxiety right now about the future for you, Libra. It's time to take action. And in particular, because with this, a fiery climax approaches and then it's time to take action, I feel like you're kind of being, I don't know how else to say this other than like triggered into action, triggered into making change, but there's a lot of anxiety around this change. And what this energy really feels like is your guides, the universe, spirit being like, you don't need to be nervous about this change. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't feel the way that you feel. I'm sure you have every reason to feel the way that you feel. But I feel like Spirit's trying to provide you with a little bit of like confirmation of making a change or taking the next step or whatever it is the right thing for you. What is Libra needing to know about their future energy? What does Libra need to know moving forward? Believe in the impossible. And then you have it take time to breathe out. This really feels like relief, because then you have hold your vision too. This feels like relief. It kind of feels like things shifting in a way that aligns with where you want to go. But I feel like this shift happens because you take the action. This shift doesn't just happen I feel like you create it, and you create it with your intentional action of saying, coming from a place of I deserve more, this isn't what I want, this isn't what I deserve, this doesn't align with me. Almost like getting honest with yourself and then moving in the direction toward better. And then I feel like things kind of align from there. But let's look at this more because we're just looking at overall energy, right? So let's look at the overall theme of this reading here, Libra. Guides. See, I kind of gathered that too. I feel like you have a spiritual team that's trying to guide you in a new direction. And this new direction it's an addition. It's moving forward. It's taking the next step on some sort of path. Yeah, and then you have affluence here, which to me, this is like all about abundance, right? We can be wealthy in so many different types of ways. It's not just about financial wealth, but, mental health is wealth, and physical health is wealth, and peace is wealth, and, there's so many forms of it. I feel like Spirit's trying to move you toward more. And it might feel like you're being, like certain things are being taken away from you, but it's not to take those things away from you. It's to move you toward what is capable of providing you with the things that you do desire. You have this Earth card. So this could be about like finances, just because Earth, Pentacles. But I also feel like this is about bringing abundance into physical manifestation for you, too. So I feel like, yeah, you're needing to really lean on guidance right now. Spiritual guidance. And if you're receiving inspiration, like that's intentional. Take those steps. All right. What does Libra need to know? So we're going to break this down further. I want to because it's always more complicated, right? When I start getting into tarot, it's like, okay, it's always more complicated than these overall energies make it seem. It'd be nice, right, if it were just as simple as that, but what does Libra need to know about what they've been dealing with? Frustration. Yeah, see, and I felt that. And there's literally, the the Knight of Cups in reverse, the Temperance in reverse, and the Hermit. It feels like this is like being triggered, like frustration after, again, like getting angry, getting like pissed off is a big word that I'm hearing, about how things are, like how you're being treated or how you're being compensated. And this is intentional. But here's the thing, right? Whenever there's a lot that's out of our control, if we focus so much on what's out of our control, we're giving our power away. Like, oh, our boss doesn't treat us well. We just, we complain about it and, we're mad about it. Like, we're giving away our power, but we take our power back by saying, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to ask to be, for what it is that I deserve. I'm going to ask for what it is that I'm looking for and what it is that I desire. So yeah, but okay. Here's the thing. You have the King of Pentacles here with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Like, this is a very pentacle reading for an air sign, but I feel like it's intentional because I feel like it's about like your material circumstances and the fact that they need to change and you want them to change. But in order for them to change, I do feel like there's action that needs to be taken on your end. I feel like there's this just overall sense of just feeling so undervalued. Just feeling like you're not being, your value isn't being seen, it's not being appropriately compensated, it's not being reciprocated, like in whatever form, whether it's in relationships or in a job or whatever. I feel like you just feel like you are just being so severely undervalued, and I'm going to be so straight up with you, Libra, you are. So that feeling is valid. This isn't, I feel like it's important for you to know that you're not asking for too much, and you're certainly not asking for too much when you're being asked to be treated in association with your value. Like, you deserve to be treated like you desire. But there's also a flip side of this that I feel like I talk about a lot in my readings, and I feel like it also has the tendency to make a lot of people mad. And I wanna preface this not from this place of shame and blame, like I'm not coming from that place, but more so a place of being willing to take accountability for our reality, because I am always coming from a place of experience. So the things that I talk about are things that I've had to learn and implement and continue to have to learn and implement on my own journey. And what I have learned is other people value us to the extent that we teach them that we are valuable. How we accept certain level of treatment and compensation and whatever the case is our way of saying, this is what I deserve and this is what I will accept to continue to give you my time, my energy, my resources. And we don't do this intentionally, okay? A lot of times we do it because we think we have to, right? When we're stuck in survival mode, we're like, well, I need this job, so I've got to accept what I can get from it. Or if I'm in this relationship, like, there's so much potential here and I don't want to end up alone, so I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to accept what I can get. But when we accept less than what we deserve, in whatever form that might be, we are sending out signals to the universe that says, this is what I believe that I am worth. This is what I believe that I deserve. This is the value that I believe that I hold. And then we sit there and we want to be treated better, but yet we're accepting where things are at. So I feel like what I've really learned, and this is not, again, not me blaming or shaming you or saying that it is your fault, okay? But what I've learned is that in order for us to create change in our life, we have to be willing to look at certain circumstances and say, enough is enough. I know what I deserve. We have to be willing to set boundaries. We have to be willing to walk away if necessary. We have to be willing to have a solution-oriented mindset and say, the universe will never require me to settle in order for me to survive, because that is a fundamental truth. But when we're so used to survival, we're going to be closed off, right? We're going to be closed off to certain opportunities. We're going to be closed off to solutions, and we're going to say, this is just how things have to be. And then we're going to get frustrated, and we're going to get angry, and we're going to get mad. And believe me, I've been there. So I'm never ever saying that it's your fault, but I do think that there's a difference between blame and accountability, because when we can start to take accountability for the ways that we show up for ourselves, we can start to change things a little bit. But that's what's in our power. We don't have control over how people are going to treat us. We don't have control over how people are going to value us. We cannot change somebody's mind about us, and that is not our job. Our job is to let people be where they're at, to meet us where they're going to meet us, and then for us to decide, is this enough for me? Is this really in alignment with what I deserve, or is the universe trying to push me into seeing my own value more? And it's hard. It's really, really hard to do. What does Libra need to know about their current energy? It's time to take action. You and your loved ones are safe. Current energy for Libra. So this is what you've been dealing with, okay? So if you've been frustrated, if you've been just like, oh my gosh, nothing is changing, it's happening for a reason, because I feel like the universe is trying to push you into action. There's the Justice, which is all about accountability. It's also Libra energy. You have this Page of Pentacles. Okay. Spirit is saying there are opportunities that exist for you that you might not be aware of right now. And that is the key to manifesting, is believing that there are opportunities that exist even when we don't see them at this time. And I feel like in this energy, okay, there's that King of Pentacles again. King of Wands in reverse. In this energy, there's a very, I don't want to say closed mind, because I feel like that holds such weight, because I don't feel like you're a closed-minded person. But there is almost like, okay, in psychology, there is a term called cognitive bias. What this term represents is that we are going to see solutions and opportunities and possibilities to the extent that we believe that they exist. The way that I like to represent this is through a little activity. So look around your room, give you a couple seconds, look around your room and take note of everything that is red. Everything around you on the walls, look down, if there's people around you, take note of everything that is red. Now, just for a couple of seconds, close your eyes and try to remember everything that you see that is blue. You can open your eyes. It's hard, right? It's hard to remember or to see the things when we are not looking for them. So if we have told ourselves for so long, I have to suffer in order to make money, I have to not have boundaries in order to be loved or to have relationships, I have to be miserable in order to just get by and to survive. When we are in that space and in that energy for so long, we are going to constantly be seeing proof that that is all that's possible. We're going to see blockages, we're going to see challenges, and we're going to see obstacles, and we're going to be so rooted in those things that it's going to be so difficult for us to see that there are other ways to live and to experience the abundance that we deserve. So Spirit is asking you to look at this from a different perspective. Right now, your reality is a projection, is a reflection of what you believe is possible for you. And when we start to get real about that with ourselves, we can start to open ourselves up to change, right? Because then we can start to say, I'm not taking action because I don't believe that it's worth it. I believe that if I take action, I'm going to fail, or there's not going to be success at the end of that, or I'm not going to experience anything more than I do right now. And sometimes we don't even see opportunities that might be possible because we're so rooted in the belief that things can't happen for us. And I feel like you're really struggling with that right now. And I feel like you need to know that you are safe to set boundaries. You are safe to ask for more. You are safe to demand with love to be treated appropriately. You have every right to experience the life that you deserve and desire, but it is up to you to claim that in order to have it and to receive it. And I feel like what you've been accepting is a hell of a lot less than not only what you deserve, but what's possible for you. Now, the reasons that you've been accepting less are probably very valid, right? So I'm not saying that it is your fault or that you need to look at this. Again, we're not blaming or shaming anybody. It doesn't help. But when we start to open our minds up to what can I do to create more abundance in my life, we start to ask ourselves the hard questions, such as how am I accepting less than what I deserve, and how can I make the changes that I've been avoiding because of the fear of the unknown, the fear of what I can't control. There's a balance in spirituality that we have to make. And that balance is between the logical and between the practical. And when we're focused so much on what we think is like logical, quote unquote, we might be focusing too much on what we think we can control. And when we focus too much on what we think we can control, we block the potential and the magic of the universe that is waiting for us to be, to create opportunities in spaces where you might not have realized that they existed before. So I hope this is making sense for somebody, but I really feel like this is a time, I think a lot of people right now are receiving intuitive downloads of inspiration to take big steps, maybe inspiration to dream big. And I feel like right now is a time to really follow that feeling, even if it feels so incredibly impossible and out of reach. I mean, you literally have belief in the impossible, right? So what does Libra need to know moving forward? And again, I feel like you're receiving that guidance right now. I feel like your guides are trying to move you in a direction, but I feel like you have to take that step. The Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups is all about, to me, and then the Ace of Swords, see, that makes sense. It's all about being honest with yourself. The Seven of Swords, the Five of Swords. Oh, you have so much that is possible for you, Libra. In fact, I feel like whoever is listening to this reading, it's very important that you know that you've been dreaming too small. And I don't mean that in the sense that your dreams... It's like you look, you think of the things that you want to experience in this life. Maybe the things that you want to do, the goals that you have for your career or the goals that you have for your love life or whatever it is. It's like you're thinking too small. And I think that you don't realize that you're doing that because so much of the time we accept what we think we can have, right? And we look around and we're like, well, this is all that seems possible. Therefore, I must just go ahead and accept where things are at. Spirit is saying, no. You're being asked to dream bigger than you ever really have. And it's probably going to feel really scary when you start to do that, which usually means that you're facing that fear that you've been avoiding by playing small and staying small. And I feel like maybe you've even been on a path where you've been in survival for so long that you've lost sight of what your dreams even really are. Maybe you've never really even asked yourself, what do I want? What do I want to experience? Because you thought things had to be a certain way. Well, right now, Spirit is shaking things up in your life to try to get you to move into bigger and better spaces, but you have to believe that they exist and be willing to take action toward those bigger and better spaces in order to create it. But there's this feeling of not totally trusting the universe, and I see that a lot with the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords. I feel like you're struggling to believe that you're very supported and guided, and I get that. I absolutely understand that, but the universe, especially in this reading, is saying, like, we've got your back. You've got your back to for you to experience more than you currently might even believe is possible. But it's all about what you accept. If we accept less than what we deserve, we are going to receive less. But if we start to say, no, I am deserving of more, when we start to put our foot down and we say something's got to give, I am not willing to settle just for the sake of having something, we start to create change. It doesn't mean it's not scary, and it doesn't mean that you don't face the very real fear that you're avoiding by settling. But what it does mean is you start to create change by saying, I'm done doing things this way, and I'm going to go after these things. And Spirit is saying, when you do that, especially with the Hierophant and the Judgment, I feel like your world opens up. Because I feel like you create a new perspective, right? And when you create a new perspective, the reflection of your reality is going to be very different, because your reality is a reflection of what you believe is possible for you. So when you start to believe that more is possible, when you start to believe in your potential, when you start to recognize that you are unlimited potential, you're a divine being having a human experience. You're capable of so much more than your human brain can fully comprehend. But we have to break down the barriers, the fear and the insecurity and the rules of society that we've been placed in. We have to break through these barriers to recognize what truly is possible for us. And I think that that's what this time and period in your life is all about. And it's really powerful. But I also feel for you, it's probably really confusing too. It's probably really confusing, and it always is, because we think that we want things to be a certain way, but then we're mad when those things aren't happening. So when universe shifts us in a different direction or asks us to take bigger steps, it's like, well, I'm already not getting what I want, so how am I going to believe that that's possible? Like, why would I take those steps? All right, Libra, we're going to hop on over to the extended. We're going to look deeper into these messages, ultimately asking the question, what do you need to do right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? Any information on that is in the description box below. Thank you so much, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Libra.